and action. What's up, guys? It's another Saturday. My goodness, I look like Hitler. Some white boy shit. Once upon a time, I started a little clothing idea called Blue Collar as Fuck, and I was gonna start putting blue collars on everything because us boys like our crafts. Today I'm gonna talk about my Alx Proverbs, simply because for a while it's my theme. The goal is to live an abundant life, and we think that in order for us to live the best life possible, we need hella money. And for the most of us, getting rich today or tomorrow or next month is relatively unrealistic. So we work hard for things, and it takes a little bit, and then we build and make good decisions, and then after a while, hopefully something pays off, right? For the most of us, unless we figure something out, write a couple books, publish a couple good songs, meet some rich people, scam or rob, just however we get our little quick success, right? But for the most part, we think that in order for us to start living a good life, we have to be rich. But that's far from the truth. I think good life starts here. And so Alx Proverbs is one of the books I wrote. However, the book's content came from my free wealth guide on my homepage on alxmnv.com. And I guess the gist of it, right? Throughout our research, we have consistently found out that the basic laws of success boils down to discipline, consistency, and growth. And I've explained this before. It's kind of why I post my shirtless stuff, is because all under the self-improvement category, but also taking health seriously and being fit and trying to make good decisions, but also live long enough to realize the benefits of those good decisions, right? So taking care of ourselves, taking care of our health, hitting the gym, not only makes us feel good for the day, but it also can make us look better. It can make us feel better about ourselves. It can have a lot of benefits and blah blah blah. But it's not just the gym. It's just the act of staying active is actually one of the things that makes us feel fulfilled, right? So energy spent versus just sitting here or sitting at home, because sometimes we feel like we're, homesick, not homesick, but like stir crazy, right? Or being caged in. So this free wealth guide, and it's my homepage, right? When you go to alxmnv.com, it's the first thing that pops up. Oh yeah, on Saturdays I usually do a little off the cuff type of conversation, but I found out that if I have something prepared, perhaps the conversation is a little bit more free flowing instead of me trying to scrape up for ideas, right? So this Alx Proverbs is one of the books I wrote, but it comes from the free wealth guide. And to kind of summarize it, is we aim to inspire and educate you towards your financial freedom and life of your ultimate terms. Here's a growing list of character traits and mentalities you need to consider in your pursuits of a good life, being rich, right? I had 30 bulletin points. Those became 30 chapters. But chapter 1, make a decision. Wake up having decided that you will do whatever it takes to be successful in every attempt at becoming wealthy and happy. Chapter 2, seek growth. Huge gap in the last statement. We don't know how. We've never been rich. We don't know how to do it. So the personal search for growth must begin. Chapter 3, work hard. The reward is proportional to the price we pay. The great equalizer of the poor and wealthy is work. The harder you work, the more likely you will achieve your successes. Some other chapter, humble yourself or get humbled. It's the best to be invited up than be told to step down. Be resilient. You will fall over and over. So what? Just keep going. It's the only way through. So, anyways, these free ideas or these free little bulletin points that I came up with a year ago became grounds for a book. So, I'll just pick one. Let's see, I'm about 5 minutes already. The thing is, like, I can get carried away, I found out. I can easily produce a 10, 20, 15-minute video. That was pretty chronological, I guess. And instead of starting another chapter, I'm just gonna quit explaining myself. And we're just gonna chop it up, right? So the need for this came about, not a need, I guess it is a need. It was an idea I wanted to share because I just had attempted for a few years to start businesses, right? I had auto detailing companies, and what started out as like a $20, $30 car wash, which took me, I practiced my car washes. I smoke a cigarette, which takes about 7 minutes, and I can pressure wash a car, scrub it down, soap it up, rinse it off to a sellable quality in about 7 minutes, right? 7-10 minutes. So although it didn't feel like a big thing to be like, oh, you're doing all that work for $20, $30. Well, it was like $20 10 minutes, right? So the price was decent enough. So as I started expanding my services, I realized that people kind of like it when their car is actually clean. So I was like, okay, and that's where I went from being a business mind to be like, oh, 10 minutes. So 10 minutes times 6 times is what? 60 minutes, right? So if I can do 6 cars an hour, that's $120 minus expenses, minus whatever, small delay. So $120 on a broke day is actually kind of decent, right? So anyways, I started doing this car wash stuff. That became into a detailing service. I started learning how to polish cars. I started learning how to vacuum, steam clean, just all the stuff, right? Just the more specific things to the car wash industry. Well, pretty soon my prices went up from $20, $30 car washes to $300 details, right? Plus the extras. And then that was going pretty good because in a day I can detail 2 cars. Sometimes that was a $700 day. And then for the most part, I always had a shop in a body shop, which pays pretty good. So carrying over that mentality of, whoa, okay, I just grew something, took an idea because I didn't have any skills, right? When I started this car wash company, it was in the house I was renting with 4 other roommates, and I took a kitchen towel and some Dawn dish soap and a fucking pot that you cook in or that you water the flowers with. No, yep, it was a bowl or pot, soapy water, washed the car. The hose wasn't working, so I had to use the flower pot watering thingy to rinse off the car. It was a black car, sunny day. It looked like shit. It was all striped and greasy. But that was my first $7 car wash or something, right? So trying to fix that, I learned how to polish. So apparently the soapy water and the greasy bullshit from the kitchen, whatever was in the pot or something, cannot just be wiped off of a clean car, off of a black car that had been cooking in the heat all day or for a few days. So I had to learn how to wax that thing off. So my Just expertise expanded a little bit. I'm going on to 10 minutes. This is quite a Saturday, you guys. You guys bored? I don't know why I do the Miley Cyrus tongue. It's probably a white people thing. So anyway, so I'm doing these details, apprenticing at the body shop, and then customers are like, hey, can you paint my bumper? The body shop quoted me $800. Can you beat the price? I was like, well, if I work all day, 8 hours, and make $300 a day, because $300 a day, 300 days out of the year is 100,000, right? So I was like, okay, my standard price is for an unknown is $300 a day, and I could probably fix a bumper in a day. So I was like, okay, 300. Well, shit, the expenses, the supplies, it took me 3-4 days to fix because I didn't know what I was doing. Had to have somebody come and help me, and then they were like, never again should you paint. So I continued to paint. I continued to learn how to fix my mistakes until the car thing kind of took off, even though I was pretty hesitant about working on cars after all, because it was like a lot of work. And for the first 2, 3, 4 years, you're the guppy, right? So nobody gives you a bigger tool, nobody gives you a bigger job, so they're just kind of sizing you up to see if you know what you're doing, and then sometimes you just don't know what you're doing, so no responsibility is handed to you, right? So when it comes to skills, it's best to go above and beyond as far as learning, especially hands-on, because you're being paid to be trained. And that's dope, because the more you know, the more you can make. And however you want to play your ambitious game, like, that's entirely up to you. But I chose to kind of specialize in cars, but it's not really in pursuit of money. It's more in pursuit of unlocking further skills that my hands can do, right? So what else can I build? What else shapes can I do? Because ultimately, sometimes I want to be able to take what I see in my head and make it a reality, right? So whether it's a toy, whether it's a house, whether it's a lifestyle. And so after quite a bit of repetition of doing this stuff, you understand the importance of discipline and consistency, right? So I know, I'm assuming some young people watch my stuff. And yeah, if you're like in your 20s, I would say go ham and learn skills, you know. Am I self-conscious about the zit? Yeah. I tried to pop it this morning because it was kind of growing, and I kept trying to pop it, so oh my goodness. I'm gonna edit all of this out because I'm so self-conscious. Yeah, anyways, that's like 14 minutes. But Alx Proverbs is kind of some of my Saturday activities. I don't want to pump out Christian stuff at you, even though sometimes it's kind of mandatory. And sometimes I do have the pressure to be like, okay, you got to talk about, you owe me. You know, God's like, you owe me. You got to say something. Tell him how great I am. And he is. But sometimes we as people just, I don't know, due to our choices and life direction and our ways of thinking, we choose not to talk about God because, you know, it's like, not yet, not yet. I'm kind of busy. I'm kind of having fun. So sometimes he makes me shout out. Somebody asked me, what are my tattoos? Jesus Christ. They're like, does it mean anything to you? I was like, yeah, that's the owner. That's my boss. Like, man, I have been broken down so many times. I have been isolated, had everything taken away from me, and all because God wanted to talk to me. It's like, hey, Knock, knock. Bet you're listening now, huh? So, and then sometimes I chose to, I think, I know I talk about some of my divorce stuff, but I think when I was married, there was, towards the end of my marriage, I guess, it was, I was seeking the instructions and directions because I was like, I have this life. I'm a, I'm a pretty successful dude, quote unquote. We just bought a house. We just had a kid. I was collecting piles of projects in my backyard and all sorts of optimism. But I was like, I just felt like there was silence from God. And I was like, I'm seeking some instructions. I'm seeking some input. How come you're not blessing this marketing company, right? Which was Digital Ramen in the beginning, because Digital Ramen, when you start out a side hustle, you're pretty poor, so you pretty much eat ramen until you make it. And then the goal of all of this really is to allow us to expand our mentality, to go from really broke to at least wealthy in the mind, because then life will follow, right? So has this chase of me thinking that I can chase this abundant life, has that yielded any fruit for me? Yes. Am I rich? No. But the circumstances somehow align themselves, and sometimes my attitude of being fulfilled on the inside already, enriches the situation, or other people being fulfilled and blessed and grateful, right? They come into the equation, and that enriches the situation, and that in itself becomes a pleasant experience, right? So anyways, this abundant life is, yes, we work really hard for what we want, because who's gonna hand it to you, you know? Especially for a man. Like, are you trying to be out here begging for favors, or are you trying to be out here making some motherfucking moves, you know? Like,